struggle with noodling. When you go to take a solo, does it just sound kind of like nothing? Sound like a bunch, like, check this out. One chord, and I'll noodle. It doesn't sound bad, there's no offensive notes, but it also doesn't really sound like anything, right? So can I take the same notes, which we'll get into, that minor pentatonic scale, can I take those same notes and play something that isn't noodling? Let's see. That might not have been the greatest guitar solo ever, or mind-blowing, to you, but it wasn't noodling. I was able to play a little bit. I was able to, like, chase down ideas, kind of express what felt like thoughts and pieces of music, not just notes in a scale. So what's the difference? I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to give you 2 tangible things you can work on to eliminate the noodling from your playing and to hopefully help you play a little bit more like the way that you want to be playing. So let's jump into it. What is noodling? Noodling is when you just play stuff that seems nondescript, that seems unmusical, that seems like a stream of nothing, but it's not bad. It's like there's no obvious thing wrong with it, but something about it just doesn't work. That's what we're trying to fix. So we're going to jump right into the solutions. The first solution is space. One of the things I see all the time in noodling, whether it's my own playing or students, is a lack of space. Think about the way we approach the guitars. Sometimes as guitar players, we get a little too focused on the thing itself, the frets and the fingers and the strings and all that stuff, and we forget that it's a tool. It's a tool for us to express ourselves. So what we're actually doing with this thing is expressing our own musical thoughts and ideas. It has become our voice. And one thing that's very prevalent about the way you communicate with your voice is space. When you're telling a story, you leave pauses for dramatic effect, for comedy, for the audience to resonate with something. Simply by leaving space, the audience is going to have an opportunity to take something on board, to listen to it, to develop what they think about it, and then they'll be ready for you to give them something else. If you were talking to somebody and all they ever did was keep talking like this and telling you about their day and blah, 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 everything would go right over your head. You wouldn't be able to absorb it. Now you might say, I'd love to play fast. I don't want to do that. Well, playing fast kind of has a purpose in a way. If you're playing so fast that nobody can absorb what you're saying, that's a great tool. You want to blow them away. You want to put them in the back of their seats. Oh my God, my mind is blown by this music. That's how playing fast can really be cool. But if that's all you ever do, you run the risk that they can never relate to what you're saying. If all you ever do is blow them away, they might think, I guess this music isn't for me. I don't get it. It doesn't mean anything. I can't take it on board. I can't process it. So you don't have to not play fast, but incorporating a little bit of space at certain times in your solo might be something to try. So that's it. That's item 1, space. You can play the exact same stuff you were already playing, but break it up into 4 or 5 notes at a time, and what you're going to get is what feels like musical thoughts and phrases, more like ideas. So let's go ahead and give that a try. We're playing over an A7 chord with an A minor pentatonic. That's a pretty bluesy combination. We don't have to get into the why or how or anything like that, but we got an A7 chord running, and I'm playing A minor pentatonic. And I'm just going to play 4 or 5 notes at a time. Already something different than noodling. It's not quite to where the other piece was. We're going to get to that. But from the very beginning, just by incorporating space into what you were already playing, it's going to be less noodling and more music. So all you need to do, right, you normally play something like this. Now we're going to do this. And then this. And then this, and then this, and we've broken it down into pieces. You don't have to change what you're playing, but see if you can incorporate some phrasing, some space. Now the second piece really comes from the first. Maybe you've tried to incorporate phrasing and space in your playing before, but you felt like you haven't been able to. Like you go to end a phrase, and it doesn't sound the way you want it to sound, so then you kind of search for the end of the phrase, which means you keep playing, and then you don't find it, and then you search and you keep playing, and you don't find it, and you end up playing and searching and looking and not finding it, and you end up noodling, and you just keep playing. You're looking for that feeling. How do we fix that? I find that one of the things that helps that is an understanding of this idea of call and response in music, tension and release, conflict and resolution. You may find that some notes sound like we're creating a little tension or raising a question, and some notes sound like they're giving an answer or creating some sort of release. So check this out. So here's our A7 chord. Here's a note that's in our pentatonic scale. It's a C note on the 8th fret of the high E string. When I play that on top of my A7 chord, it feels like I've kind of raised the question almost, like. But when I play this note, an A on top of my A chord, that feels like I've provided an answer. Like I've provided some sort of resolution of that tension, right? Tension, release. Hear that? So what you might be experiencing is that you're going for a phrase in your solo, you're going for a lick or an idea, and you mean to come out and have something that's solid, a foundation you can stand on, and you raise a question. And that's not what you intended, so you keep playing, you keep searching for that answer, and you end up noodling. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a really tangible, simple exercise to start experimenting with this idea of call and response, tension, and resolution. We're going to land our phrases on one of two notes. That's all we have. We have two notes as options. We have this 8th fret C, and we have this 5th fret A. We're going to play over one chord, this A7, and by the way, there's a backing track at the end of the video. You can do this over for practice. We're going to play over one chord, A7, and I'm going to land on C, and then I'm going to land on A, and we're going to find that some sort of story starts to present itself, some sort of call and response between these two notes. Check it out. Here's our A7. And I'll land on C, and then land on A. Right away we can hear that. There's my C, there's my A. If you know more C's around the neck, and more A's, you can find that resolution in different places. C and A. So that's all you're going to do. You're going to take what you would normally play and fit it into the box, the exercise, this is an exercise, of landing on C or landing on A. Now, of course, these aren't the only two notes that we're ever going to land on, but it's a great starting point. What you'll find as you go through the scales and the notes and all the different options is that different notes have different feelings. They might not feel so obvious, call and response. They might feel more a little ambiguous. And landing on the root note or the 3rd or the 5th or anything like that, that's not a requirement. That's not something we have to do. Those notes are just going to sound a certain way. They might not even sound right to you or wrong to you. It's up to us to decide how those notes make us feel and what they sound like, what colors and flavors and textures they add, and then we can decide whether or not we want to incorporate them. I don't want to get too more complicated in this one video, but for example, another note that I like to land on is a G. That's the flat 7 of the A, and it gives it this very sort of funky sound, but it's not, but it doesn't need to be resolved. It's like, it's funky, but it can also kind of stay there. So that's a different type of resolution, right? Here's what that flat 7 sounds like. There's lots of different notes that you can choose. This exercise is just two options that we have to get us tuned into this idea of call and response. All right, so that is our noodling exercise. What we're trying to do is break up our stream of notes. We're doing that in two ways. One, we're just incorporating space. We need space for the audience to take what we're playing on board, for them to understand it as thoughts and ideas, And what we're doing is essentially playing in a way that's a little more akin to the way we speak. The second thing we're doing is we're paying a little more attention to where we land in terms of notes. Some notes are going to sound like we're raising a question. Some notes are going to sound like we're providing an answer. If we're inadvertently raising a question when we mean to provide an answer, it may send us on this spiral of searching for that sound and playing more and more and more and end up noodling again. So the exercise is basically the same thing you'd always play, broken into chunks and focused so that we land on tension and we land on resolution, and we kind of flip back and forth between those sounds and we start to hear a story develop. The A7 backing track is about to start. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below letting me know what you want to see on the channel, and I'll see if I can make it for you. Thanks for watching.